So welcome back to the Reimagining Education podcast, a production by Michigan International Prep School. My name is Amy Dunlap, and today I'm really excited to be sitting here with Mr. David Pilgreen, our secondary principal. So welcome, Mr. Pilgreen. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited for this.
So am I. It's always fun to chat with you, and it's going to be fun to show our families a little bit more about you. So let's just dive right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit about your previous positions, sort of what brought you into education, anything personally that you want to share.
Sure, awesome. Yeah, so little bit of background. I am the son of a teacher. My mom was a Spanish teacher for 28 years. And so I've always grown up with, you know, a teacher in the house and like an appreciation for learning and the idea that just, learning is a lifelong adventure. I remember being a kid and in Spanish class, and I'd be like, Mom, how do we say this? And then she would say, well, if you want to say it in first person, it would be this. But if it's plural, it's this. And I was like, Mom, I just needed to know how to say this one. And then I all the time catch myself doing that as a teacher myself. Right now that I've been teaching, I've been a teacher for the past 12 years. I've been teaching history. So if we're driving past something and I recognize the historical significance of it, I'll say, hey, this is what this is. And this is why it's called that. And, everybody, all my friends and family kind of roll their eyes and we all laugh about it. So I come by it naturally. And it's, because of that, it's very exciting. And so for the past 3 years, I've been working at MIPS as a high school history teacher. And then as recent as January, I have transitioned into becoming the secondary principal. So the 6 through 12 principal here at Michigan International Prep School.
So I love that. And we're excited. I love that you're talking about driving and making those connections. I do the same thing. I am blessed that my son also loves history. So it's always okay to make those connections, but it's like how we keep it alive, right?
Right,
And that's
right.
where the passion comes in. So I love it. So talk to me a little bit about what initially brought you to MIPS. You've been here for 3 years now, and you're still here, and you've sort of moved up the chains to a bigger role to be able to have a greater impact. So talk to me a little bit about what was the appeal to join our school.
Yeah, so I think like especially the past 4 years, we have seen that things in society have changed. The way people work changes, the way people go to school changes. And I'm really excited at the opportunity at MIPS to provide that change for our students. I think about it a lot. I have friends, I have family members who do jobs that I didn't know about when I was a kid and didn't exist when I was a kid, right? And so with the world changing and technology changing and the way jobs are changing, I feel a school like MIPS, specifically MIPS, I guess, is helping our students prepare for what the future holds, right? Like if you had told me when I started teaching, you could teach virtually, I wouldn't have understood what that meant. And so when we are preparing our students, I think it's incumbent upon us to prepare our students for a job world that exists in the future, not for jobs that only have taken place in the past. And so much as we see of life now takes place online through jobs that are remote. And so if we can prepare our students to be comfortable working remotely, being self-starters, using things like Google Calendars to help organize their day, then they have a leg up when it comes to whatever job they want to do after work. After school. Sorry. So that's something that's really exciting to me, is just preparing students for a future that looks a lot different than the future that I was anticipating when I was preparing for the future.
I think that's very well put. And I think that's something that we hear our students say as they come back to us, which is really neat as well. So thank you for that. So this is not your first leadership role. Obviously, this is a new title, a little bit of a bigger title, but you've been doing leadership things throughout your time here at Michigan International Prep School. Talk me through a little bit about what leadership roles have you held, and sort of what are you looking most forward to do in this new role?
Yeah, so I was the secondary instructional coach for the high school team, and I love that because so when I started teaching, I was like, I love teaching. I'm gonna be a teacher until for 30 years. I'm gonna retire, just like my mom did, right? Like I talked about her. And then through just doing different jobs at different schools, I started to experience what it was like to be a teacher leader. I could still be in the classroom. I could work with students. I can share the love of history that I have with my students. But then I also could take things that I noticed that as staff, we wanted more attention to, right? And so I really enjoyed, as a secondary instructional coach, helping my coworkers, my colleagues, whether it be with instructional practices, like, hey, I have a lesson I want to teach on this, like, can we talk through it? Or like, hey, we would like administration to know about this. And, one of the things that I feel like is a real impact that definitely the high school team had a push with was recently we've started the student of the month, right? And that was it was fun to be able to take an idea out of the high school and then like say, hey, this is how we can acknowledge and celebrate and recognize our students across the school. And so I've really enjoyed that opportunity to still be in the classroom, but also kind of advocate and work with teachers, work with my colleagues. And then, of course, at the end of the day, right, if we're doing that right, we're helping our students all through the high school. So the great things that are going on at the high school and the middle school level, there's communication there, and then it also helps students K-12. So that's what I like about it, and that's kind of some experience that I've had with it.
I love it. So what is sort of one maybe fun thing, or maybe it doesn't be fun, one professional thing even, that you would like our families and students to sort of know more about you?
This is a good question. So I think something that is important to know is that I've spent the first part of this interview talking about loving working with students, loving teaching, loving history. And that's not leaving just because I'm a principal now, right? Like when I think about sometimes like when you hear the word principal, I think maybe sometimes people are like associated with the principal's office. And that's admittedly like what some people, that's their view of a principal. It's like you go to the principal when you get in trouble, right? And I don't want to be that principal. I want to be the principal that like you go and talk to when you do really well in a class, or I have this presentation that I'm doing. I'd like for you to come watch it, and right now I'll join the class and be a part of that. I've been fortunate to have mentors in my life that have shown me that those are the connections that you can make. Those are the connections you can build upon. And so that's the kind of principal I want to be. I want to be a principal that is visual, that visible, and that is when you see me, it's not like who's in trouble. It's like, hey, who are we celebrating? And so that's my professional goal.
I love that. Well, I think that you're well on your way, because I think speaking as I guess I'm going to use the term outsider, but speaking as somebody who's been able to sort of watch you with the high school team, you can see the love and respect there from your colleagues as well as from the kids. So I think that your impact is just going to continue to grow. And I know I'm personally super excited to see you in this role and watch you continue to develop all the great things that you're doing. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
So let's jump into like some sort of fun things. So over winter break, we ran some fun facts about you on social media.
Yes.
So I want to dive a little bit deeper because I've got some questions. So for one, we've learned that you've visited 49 of the 50 states. That's impressive. Like I want to go back and count, but I can tell you I'm nowhere near that. So which one do you have left to visit? When are you going, and what are you hoping to do there?
Yeah, so Alaska is the last state that I have to visit. I hope to get there as soon as possible. My wife has to catch up. She has 4 more states until Alaska is her last state. So this summer, the plan is to knock those 4 states out there. States in the Midwest, we're going to try to do like a road trip, knock those out, and then plan a trip immediately, like upon our return to Alaska. I want to go to Alaska in the winter, which is like the coldest time, but I'm cool with that. I want to see the Northern Lights so badly, and I also want to see the bears. If I could be any animal in the world, I'd be a bear. I don't know. I love them. And they're everywhere in Alaska. So I've heard. I've never been. But I want to go up there. I want to see the bears, and I want to see the Northern Lights.
I love that. And maybe hit it the same time as like the Iditarod and check out
yes, exactly.
going on. That might be fun too. So
yeah.
I love it. So which 4 states does your wife have left?
Let's see. So it's Iowa, North and South Dakota, and Minnesota. So those are the 4
So it's kind of a fun road trip too.
Absolutely. There's a ton of national parks there. We're big national park people. So we have a plan, and really excited to execute on it.
I love it. Well, we'll have to circle back after you guys take your trip and hear a little bit more about it, or maybe do a history lesson podcast episode on the 50 states. That could be a lot of fun too. So we'll have to think about this. So
that would be cool.
So out of the 49 states that you've visited so far, do you have a favorite, and why?
Do I have a favorite state? So I love, I guess, coastal states, which I know isn't an answer, isn't a favorite state, but I love the difference between like an East Coast beach and a West Coast beach. Like you go to the Pacific Northwest, and there are these huge redwood trees that are overlooking like 100-foot cliffs down to the water. That's amazing. And then, you go to the East Coast, and then there's, just beautiful sand beaches. So it's not a great answer, but I love coastal states, I guess, is my answer.
I love that. I can take that. But Michigan kind of has that too. You can go up to like the porcupines and be up on the cliffs, with
That's
big palm
true, yes.
trees and looking down to the water. So I just got to plug like Michigan as well, because you get some of that. It's not
Or
the same for
Sleeping Bear
sure.
Dunes.
It's different. But yes, Sleeping Bear Dunes. Yes, same
Right.
thing. So
Yes,
lots of
that's fair.
opportunities in the state too.
Totally fair.
I love it though. I've not gotten to see all the things that you have. So I hope someday to be able to expand my horizons here. But anyhow, you also shared with us, I think this is very cool. You actually spent some time teaching elementary science in China. So we'd love to hear more about sort of that experience and how it came to be and what you sort of learned in that process.
That was a totally unplanned experience, but it's kind of one of my, I don't know, it's certainly not intentional, but if there's an opportunity that presents itself like that, then I'm going to try to, everything within my power to make that possible. So I was living and working and teaching in Texas at the time. It was in the middle of the school year, actually. And I had a friend who had been teaching elementary school in China. It's kind of an exchange program. American teachers go to China. They teach just a subject of, it doesn't, as you mentioned, I'm a history teacher, but I was teaching science. So it's not always the discipline that you're in. But last minute, they had somebody who was unable to make the trip. And I had a friend call and they were like, hey, we have an opening to teach science in Beijing. Is that something you're interested in? And I was like, yeah, sure. That sounds great. When would this be? And she was like, it's in 3 weeks. And I was like, in 3 weeks, it was the middle of the school year. It was January. So it was like the start of the second half of the year. And I was like, I don't think I can make it. And then I started thinking about it a little bit more. And I was like, if I ask my principal, if I present him the opportunity, if I tell him why I want to do it, the worst thing he can do is say no. And I'm right back where I started. And the best case scenario is he says yes, and I go to China. And he said yes. I kind of just presented it as an opportunity to grow culturally myself, to grow my teaching experiences. And, it's admittedly once in a lifetime opportunity, I thought. And so very fortunate. My principal met with the other lead team members, and they came back and they were like, absolutely, we think it's an excellent opportunity. We think that, if you have this opportunity, they were like, we'd feel bad taking it from you. And so they said yes. And quickly, fortunately I had a passport, got an expedited visa. And in under 3 weeks, I was on a 16-hour plane ride to Beijing. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I am so fortunate. I'm so thankful that I just said, worst case scenario is my principal says no. Best case scenario, he says yes. And they said yes.
That's amazing. So when you're over there, then how was that obviously, I'm assuming you don't speak Chinese, or you may know a little bit, but how did that sort of work with when you actually got there? What did teaching look like?
Yeah, so that was totally different. I do not speak Chinese. I also so I landed in Beijing at the airport, and even just trying to communicate through the airport, I was like, this is going to be a tough experience. I'm going to be really quiet. I don't speak the language, and there didn't appear immediately that there were a lot of English speakers there. So there was definitely trial. It was fortunately I had spoken with the people that I was working with, and they kind of walked me through the process of how to get through the airport, get to the hotel, all those things. And then once I was there were other teachers who were American teachers. My friend was there. And so that was really comforting to know that I was going to be okay, right? I had people I could talk to. I had people who had experience in Beijing. And so that really was I think opened up the idea that we're going to be okay, right? And then working with the kids was awesome, right? The kids did speak English that I worked with, the elementary kids. But, it was like working with any kids. They were curious. They were excited. We were, it was elementary science. So we were doing things like making baking soda and vinegar volcanoes and dropping basketballs and different types of balls from the second floor to see how high they bounce and that kind of stuff. It was just so much fun. We really enjoyed that. And then, it was also a lot of personal growth, a lot of I don't speak the language, but I'm in Beijing for the next few weeks. I have to experience as much of this as I can. And so, we set up a through people we worked with at the school, we set up a tour of the Great Wall of China, and we took we had a car carry us out there and do that. We fortunately, the school that I worked for gave me like a MiFi puck, and I just threw it in my backpack on a charger, and I was able to use like some Google Translate features to kind of like figure my way out around the city. And it was without a doubt one of my core memories. I was older in my life, but it's a foundational experience for who I am today.
That's awesome. I think it's very cool. It gives me the chills to hear about like what an opportunity.
It really was. Very fortunate and so glad I jumped at it.
So, but I love hearing about it. So, all right. So we also learned about you that you listened to 39,605 minutes worth of music last year. I did the math that equates to over 660 hours, which is almost an entire month of listening to music if you did it nonstop. First off, I think that's amazing. I wish that sometimes I could play music and still be able to sort of like multitask, but sometimes it distracts me. So I have to be careful when I have it turned on. But so I want to know, like, do you have like a favorite time that you're listening to music? Do you have like a favorite genre? Do you like because I think you had shared like you listen to all different types of music. You've got lots of things going on. So tell me how you like made this happen.
If I'm awake, I try to have music on. I think it just like when I'm working, if I'm not on a call, if I'm working in a spreadsheet or building a lesson, having music in the background kind of helps me get into a good workflow, and I can kind of use that music to maybe find some creativity, but definitely find some motivation to keep going in times that I want to just like walk away maybe. So definitely if I'm doing work, I do that. I love to cook as well, and so it's a great, having music on is a great thing to listen to instead of just pots and pans clanging together, right? Big road trip person, so anytime we go on road trips, we have a playlist we'll fire up, and that's just it is such a important part of my life. Like I said, I love listening to music. I am the worst singer on the planet. The only thing that I'm worse at than singing is playing an instrument. So it really is a shame. My brother can play. You give him any instrument, he's never seen it before, he can pick it up and play it right away. I got none of that experience, but I do love listening to music. And what do I love to listen to? Whatever's on, right? So it's just kind of depends on the time of day, depends on what activity is going on this morning while I was getting ready to get my day going, make a cup of coffee, get ready for the podcast. I was listening to John Mayer, right? It's kind of like some chill music to kind of get the day going smoothly.
I love it. Well, I think that's great. I've like set a goal for myself to try to do better and to have more music on because my son is the same way. If there's a chance to have music on, he's going to have it on. So I'm going to make myself do better and listen to more because it does, right? It sets that tone for you. It puts you in a great mood, even if you're like really sad. Like it really boosts you. It's amazing that we have something that can do that for us. So awesome. So I want to get a little bit serious for a minute. And I didn't like warn you or prep you for this, but it just
Sure.
came to mind. So I want to go there. Just for a year ago, you were presented with the Michigan Charter School Association's My Charter Hero award, which I think is a huge deal. And I remember being very excited for you and being able to learn all the things that you're doing and all the reasons why I personally also agreed with why you deserve that award. Talk to me a little bit about, share with our listeners, what was that award and sort of what feels did you have in going through that process of receiving that?
Yeah, so the award is the Michigan Charter Hero, and honestly, I felt at first I was like, "Is this email going to the right person?" Right? Like I'm very proud of the work I've done, but I also I wouldn't be in the position that I am if I didn't work at MIPS and if I didn't have a team like the high school team that I was a part of, and it was one of my colleagues on the high school team who recommended me, and it's very surreal. It's incredibly humbling. It's certainly not why I became a teacher, but it also doesn't hurt when there's some recognition of the work that you're doing. But as I said then, and as I'll say now, like I was recognized, but I couldn't have been able. I was put in a great place to succeed from leadership here at Michigan International Prep School, from working with incredible colleagues. So my name was on the award, but it certainly wasn't all my doing. I'm just very fortunate, very, humbled and thankful for the opportunity. But that's certainly a testament to our school.
Yeah, I love it. I agree. Well, I know you're a lot like me where it's, you're not going to take the time to brag. That's not why we're in education. But I certainly want to put that out there and make sure people know, because the work that you are doing is incredible. I'm always excited to hear what you're doing. I think, like I said before, I think that you're going to continue to excel and really build amazing things now in your new role. And I'm blessed to be able to work alongside you and learn from you daily. So congratulations again on that. I know it was about a year ago, but still always a great reminder to the great work that you're doing. So,
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
all right, so let's go back to fun. Not
Sure.
like throwing in something heavy. We'll go back into fun. So I want to do like a quick lightning round of questions. So I'm just going to say something, and I just want you to shoot the first thing that comes to mind out.
Sure.
Okay, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So how about your favorite color?
I would say blue, but I went to East Carolina. We are the purple and gold, so purple and gold is my favorite.
Nice. How about favorite food?
Barbecue.
Okay. How about within the barbecue realm? Do you have a favorite thing that you like to barbecue? Because you said you like to cook.
Yeah, I would say pulled pork is my favorite. Pulled pork sandwich with coleslaw is it's my favorite.
Sounds pretty good. Go for that right now. What about this kind of a trick one? Because I know that you're going to struggle to give me an answer. But what about favorite type of music?
Yeah, I would say anything that's kind of chill and groovy, something that I can work to is what I'm gonna go with. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
Fair enough. How about favorite day of the week?
Favorite day of the week. I've never been asked this question. This is the very first time I've had this question posed to me. I guess I'll say Friday, because I feel like everybody's in a good mood, right? Because it's Friday. We've done all the work that we've done for the week, and we're getting ready for the weekend. So Fridays are probably my favorite day of the week.
All right. How about favorite season?
Fall.
Okay. Why?
I love the weather. I love the when I say fall, we all thought of things. Those are the things I love about fall.
How about favorite animal? You've touched on this earlier.
It's a bear. Yeah, absolutely. I'm enamored with them.
So a specific type or any bear?
Any and all. Preferably one that I can see in the wild. I've never seen a bear in the wild.
Awesome. All right. How about favorite board game?
My family's not big on board games. We do puzzles though, so okay. I'm gonna say puzzles.
Okay. How about a favorite holiday?
4th of July.
Okay.
It's the middle of the summer. Yeah, I'm a history teacher. Yeah, 4th of July.
So then, with that said, and going back, and I feel like that's gonna be a history answer too. What about one subject you'd like to learn more about?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think as a history teacher, you always get asked what's your favorite subject or what's your favorite time period. Right now, I am really into westward expansion in American history. So 1830 to 1870s, 1880s in the United States, just homesteaders, and then all of the things that are associated with the United States, spreading across the West. So very, very into that right now.
I love it. That's a great one. How about what's one item that's worth spending money on?
Ooh, one item that's worth spending money on. Well, I like to cook, so I'm gonna say if you're gonna get a steak or something like that, spend some money on a steak, and eat one nice steak a month as opposed to an okay steak a couple times a month. That would be my.
Love that. That's great. As the wife of a beef farmer, I would say the same thing. So,
there you go. Awesome.
What is a hidden talent that you have?
I can reach things on top shelves. You can't tell because of the virtual world, but I'm 6'7", so I can easily reach things. Whenever I go home, my mom has a list of tall jobs for me to do.
I love that. All right, last one I've got for you. Finish the phrase, "The way to my heart is."
The way to my heart is through community and fellowship and bringing people together. It's why I love cooking. It's why I love music. It's why I love teaching, right? It's a way to experience new things with a bunch of people.
I love that. Well, anything that you want to leave us with that we didn't cover?
No, I think this was fun. I appreciated it. it was fun to be able to talk about the great things we're doing here at Michigan International Prep School. And I'm just excited to be a part of it and excited to see where this goes.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for being here with me today. Everybody that's listening, thank you for joining us today and getting to know our secondary principal, Mr. David Pilgreen. Stay tuned for our next episode. And in the meantime, check out Michigan International Prep School at miprepschool.org or on any of our social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And have a great rest of your day.
Reimagining Education is brought to you by Michigan International Prep School, a tuition-free K-12 online school. If you'd like to learn more about us and what we do, you can visit our website at miprepschool.org. That's miprepschool.org. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast, and we'll talk to you soon.